What's good?
Hey everyone.
What it do? What's poppin'? Her name is Ebony,
His name is Eugene.
and today's topic is combining bank accounts.
That moolah.
3G, 3G, 3G. Yeah. I do what I do. I do what I do. You do it through me. 3G.
All right, you guys. So before we got together, my money was my money. I would do whatever I wanted to do with my money because I made it. I went to work for it. It's mine. I would spend money excessively, like on things, honestly, that weren't even beneficial at times. I mean, I would buy clothes. I mean, it's cool to have clothes, but I would buy a lot of clothes. I'd buy a lot of jewelry, a lot of makeup, a lot of wigs. And these things are great, but when you're like blowing your whole check on it, that was me.
So, before we met, my money was my money, and I did with it as I saw fit. So, I was quite the opposite. I was very cheap. I would sometimes not even buy the full combo just to save a couple dollars. I wouldn't even eat full meals just to save a couple bucks. I wasn't really buying clothes. Definitely wasn't buying no jewelry. And yeah, I was trying to find the cheapest route to get the bare minimum of what I needed to survive. And then we got together
Yep, we got together and things changed.
instantly. So at first, it was more like a your turn, my turn, your turn kind of thing.
Right, like we go to the taco shop, it's on me, and then we go to the Chinese place, it's on you. So we were just going back and forth.
And that worked perfectly for that time being. And at this point, we weren't paying rent, wasn't any major bills in our names.
Right.
So, as time progressed, we decided to move into our own place, which we all know comes with rent, electricity, and all these other things as well. We also ended up getting a car,
Yes, we did.
car note, insurance, all those other things as well.
Bills.
So at this point in our lives, we had a lot of bills together.
Yes.
And that my turn, your turn wasn't working.
It was getting confusing.
Definitely. Because at this point, she was working a full-time job, making a lot more than I was making at that time. If we were to keep that mindset, if we went in on the bills together, I would definitely run out of money first. So then she could be like, hey, you already spent your money.
Right.
The rest of that money's mine.
And we would have arguments about money as well. We had a lot of arguments when it came to money because, again, my money was my money and his money was his money. We're separate.
Exactly. So before we got to the point of combining our money, in my mind, for whatever reason, I just felt that the man was entitled, was designed to hold all the money.
Yep.
All the money. The money she worked for, the money I worked for. I was the bank.
He was the bank. He definitely was.
But some of the flaws in that was when I would drop her off to work before I went to school, sometimes I would forget to make sure she had money,
Yes.
which would cause me to have to drive back or have to work something out. It was very inconvenient at times.
Yes, it was.
So that didn't work.
It didn't work. And I felt some type of way as well. I mean, submitting in that way, letting go of something that you value so much and then putting it in the hands of someone else, even though we're together, it just felt weird, because I didn't want to let go of that value, because that was me and I worked for it.
Which makes sense. But I do thank you for your submission at that point in time. And I'm also thankful that we advanced.
It's because I was down for my husband.
Hey, you see how it worked out. You see how that worked out, so keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. So, some things to keep in mind before combining bank accounts. You need to have some kind of financial structure. You can't just be doing this, doing that, moving around, switching this without having some kind of boundaries.
Because your money will be gone.
More than certainly.
And we've experienced that.
A couple times, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for those who helped us out during those times.
Shout out to you guys.
Much love. So for us, a great way to start that foundation is to focus on the bills. See how much you're making
Right.
compared to how much you're giving out on a monthly basis.
Yes.
So you can structure around that. You got to make sure that your bills are the top priority
Definitely.
above any and all things. Then once you get the bills structured and taken care of, you get to see how much you have left. And then from that portion, you as a team get to decide how you want to use that money, how you should use that money. Should any of that be saved? Or what you guys plan on doing that, investing into whatever, or however you want to go about that.
I agree. And so now that we have, combined accounts, I have to think more wisely with money. I can't just spend all the time. Not saying that I can't get things here and there, but I have to be mindful of what I'm buying. I'm not going to buy a whole bunch of clothes and wigs and jewelry and all of these things to blow the check, because now we have to balance everything out at this point.
Exactly. And on my end, I couldn't just hold on to every penny anymore. I couldn't barely eat just to save a few dollars every day. I had to make sure that we were both well fed, well nourished, well clothed, and all the basic necessities that you want to make sure that you have.
It brought a balance within us, combining our bank accounts together.
It definitely brought a balance.
And so we had to sacrifice on both of our ends to come together and be balanced.
And if you're not willing to sacrifice, you probably shouldn't combine bank accounts.
Right.
For us, it just made more sense logically to combine bank accounts. So that way, once we got over ourselves and over our pride, it was no longer my money or your money. It's just making sure both of our needs are met. And as we got in better financial position, it wasn't just the needs that were met. We're able to get a lot of our wants as well.
Yeah.
And with doing so, you have to communicate.
Right.
Like if there's something that she wants or that I want personally, you need to let your spouse know, before just making that purchase.
Right.
Because it may be something that she wants, that she is well and able to get. But when we look at the bills, we might decide it's best to get that next week.
Right.
Or 2 weeks from now, whatever that may be, and vice versa. It may be something that I want or want to go, but when we look at the budget, it may make more sense to put that off for a couple weeks or maybe even a month or so, depending on your financial situation.
Right. And when you combine your bank accounts together, you are able to not compare, like, oh, he's making less than me and I'm making more, or I'm making less and he's making more. Like, it's too confusing. And so it takes away that pride. It takes away that mindset to where it's like, okay, are we good? Like, genuinely good. It doesn't matter how much you're making. It doesn't matter how much I'm making. But are we good? And if we're good and we're getting this money coming in, let's talk to each other and disperse it.
Right. And that becomes easier when you're on the same page and moving in the same direction. So every relationship is set up different. You have two different individuals. And in our opinion, it's not really a guy thing or a woman thing when it comes to who may be the primary when it comes to the finances and handling the financial responsibilities.
Right.
Like in our relationship, I'm a little more detail focused when it comes to when the bills are due, how much the bills are, and just staying on top of that.
Yes.
So that's something that I'm frequently looking into and worried about. But at the same time, she still has access to the same money and the same bank account. It's just I'm taking the role of ensuring that things are paid on time.
I agree. It helps the communication a lot.
Definitely. And it helps that she allows me to do that role. So that way we're not worried about, did this get paid or this not get paid? She just lets me handle that. and we communicate and we take care of it, and we haven't had any issues since we began doing that.
Yeah, I'm so thankful for it. I mean, it takes a lot of stress out, you know. It's a lot of stress that's gone, burdens that are gone, not spending excessively, just smarter. I'm thankful for my husband to be able to take charge, you know. It's great.
And I thank her for that. You know, we need to know who better fits which role and to let that person operate in that role. And that doesn't mean you can't assist him.
Right.
That doesn't mean she doesn't never remind me or just to make sure that everything has been taken care of, although I may be the primary when it comes to handling the finances. As you can see, there are many potential pros and cons to combining bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But before doing so, you have to talk. You have to communicate
Yes.
about what that financial structure will look like.
Yes.
You need to make sure you're both on the same page,
Yes.
just as far as spending habits, and both be willing to make sacrifices when necessary for the benefit of your finances.
Yes.
And it's not something you should rush into.
Right.
That doesn't prove your love or mean that the relationship's going to work or last just because you combine bank accounts. It's something that should be talked about a lot
Definitely.
and looked into and structured before moving into to prevent any future conflicts or issues.
Yes. Set those boundaries within your relationship and within your finances.
I agree. So, with that being said, we're not going to make this video longer than it needs to be. If you're feeling the vibe, like and subscribe. And if you ain't,
Leave us a money thumbs up.
that'll work. And we out.
Bye.